Let me tell you about the day a parade ground turned upside down, a morning that started so ordinary. You'd bet your life you knew exactly how it'd go. But if you were standing there with me at Fort Eagle Ridge, breathing in that bite of winter and staring a line of 163 soldiers as the sun bounced off the metal roofs, you'd feel the tension humming louder than any bugle ever could. It was the kind of cold that makes your breath look like you're smoking a secret, and I swear, for a minute, it felt like the whole base was just waiting for the sky to split open. At the back of the formation stood Beth Johnson, 48, hair pulled back in a perfect bun, not a single thread out of place on her contractor's uniform plain dark blue shirt. Those heavy-duty trousers, boots shined just so. Nothing flashy, nothing fancy, but she stood like she'd never learned how to slouch. I'm telling you, most people didn't even notice her until Captain Mitchell's voice cracked through the air like a whip. "Johnson, step forward." Now, Mitchell, if you've never met a guy like that, count your blessings. He's the kind who loves the sound of his own orders, you know what I mean? Beth stepped out, quiet, deliberate. She didn't flinch, didn't hurry, just stood there waiting. Mitchell got this look somewhere between suspicion and a power trip, and he started rattling off about some so-called inconsistencies in her personnel file, her clearance, her right to wear that uniform. "Your contractor status is under review. That shirt doesn't belong on you," he barked, fingers stabbing the air. Beth didn't blink. "Sir, the contractor uniform is regulation compliant." But Mitchell wasn't hearing it. "You'll remove it. Right here, in front of everyone. Now." It's funny how crowds can get quieter than silence when they're uncomfortable. You could almost feel 163 hearts beating faster, hands clenching just a little tighter, nobody quite sure what to do. Master Sergeant Thompson looked like he might step in, but one glare from Mitchell kept him glued to his spot. Beth's voice, low and even, cut through. "Sir, that's against regulations. I need written orders and a female officer present." But Mitchell had already lost his cool. "This is a direct order. Take it off, or I'll have it done by force." She looked at him, really looked, and I saw something there, not fear, but calculation, like she'd weighed every outcome and picked her move. She turned to the formation, steady as ever. "If this is the moment, remember it," she said, voice carrying just enough for everyone to hear. And then, one by one, she unbuttoned that shirt. No hurry, no shame, folded it with respect, and laid it down like she was setting down a flag. Underneath, just a plain gray tank top, regulation as it gets. But when she turned around, that's when the air changed. Because on her back was a tattoo, and not just any tattoo. It was a ledger of names 28, each with dates, places, coordinates. But in the center, big as life, was one. Staff Sergeant Michael Anderson, Helmand Province, Kia, 2012. Underneath, in soft script, "Tell her she's the bravest I ever saw." The kind of silence that followed is the kind you never forget. You could have heard a pin drop on the concrete, but what you heard instead was the slow, steady footsteps of a man breaking through the ranks. General William Anderson, silver hair, eyes like flint, came forward, his gaze fixed on that name. The whole place seemed to lean in, waiting for something to break. He stopped, voice so low it felt almost private but hard as steel. "Colonel Johnson." Beth turned, saluted, bare shoulders straight as a rifle. "Retired, sir. Contractor now." General Anderson didn't salute back, just stepped closer, voice almost a whisper. "You brought my son home when no one else would." Beth didn't answer, but sometimes silence speaks louder than any words. Mitchell tried to cut in, stammering, "There's no record. She's just admin." But Anderson cut him off, never taking his eyes off Beth. "Exactly. No record because it's classified. While you were collecting medals you didn't earn, she was bringing our people home from places you can't even pronounce." He turned back to Beth, voice raw. "You brought Michael home. When everyone else quit, you didn't." Beth just said, "He asked me to." And that was that. You could see Anderson hold his breath, just for a heartbeat, like he was standing at the edge of something he couldn't name. Then, without missing a beat, he looked to the MPs standing nearby. "Captain Robert Mitchell, you're under arrest for abuse of authority, falsifying records, and conduct unbecoming an officer. You should have seen Mitchell's face like he was still waiting for a teacher to step in and say it was all a joke. "My father's a general. He'll bury this," he spat, as if he still believed the world worked on last names and threats. But Anderson didn't blink. "Your father's already under investigation. This ends now." And while the MPs led Mitchell away, his face twisted up with every kind of fear he'd ever tried to give to someone else, Beth didn't watch. Instead, she walked over to the line of female soldiers, the ones Mitchell had tried to break. Private Williams, barely 22, looked like she was holding her breath underwater. Beth didn't say much, just, "You're still standing. That's what matters." Williams choked back a tear. "Mom, Colonel, I almost quit. He made me feel like nothing." Beth leaned in, voice low, so only the nears could hear. "He saw what you were, and that scared him. The system failed you, but you didn't fail. Your strength, that's what this uniform should mean. Real heroes aren't the ones who shout about it. They just keep showing up, even when no one's watching." You could feel something shift in the air, like every woman on that line just stood a little taller, shoulders set a little firmer. And as Beth turned away, her tattoo still visible for anyone paying attention, it was like the parade ground finally exhaled. See, people like Mary Elizabeth Johnson, they don't tell their stories. They carry them, etched in ink and memory, serving long after the medals have gathered dust and the flags have faded. They don't need the world to know, but sometimes when the world finally sees, something old and heavy gets set down for good. The scene faded out with the MPs disappearing into the gray morning. Mitchell's voice lost somewhere behind a locked door, and Beth, silent, just rejoining the formation, as if nothing had ever happened. Only now, every eye that hadn't noticed her before couldn't seem to look away. "So, you tell me, what would you have done, standing there on that concrete, with winter in your bones and a story like that unfolding right in front of you? Who do you think the real heroes are, the ones with stripes or the ones with scars? If this story moved you, let me know down below. Where are you watching from? And what does courage mean in your world? Do you believe justice always finds its way? Or is there still more to fix in how we honor sacrifice? I want to hear it, all your stories, your doubts, your hopes. That's how these tales keep living, long after the uniforms are folded away.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Trinh, mình phụ trách viết content. Trên đây là những công việc của mình, là mình lên mạng xã hội tìm hiểu những video.
It is cold, yeah. Next one? Alright. Thank you, man. Hey, if you guys have any trouble, let somebody know. Please.
After the tree to hold on to.
Yeah, they're...